شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank the two briefers, Ms. Adam and Ms. China. And I would like to assure you that the content of these two briefings is accurate in most of what it presents. But I would also like to mention that the bloodiest and the most tragic part was not reflected in these briefings. I do not expect those who have seen bodies of women and bodies of children that were killed as a result of the bombardments in El Geneina to be ignored. I am Saad Abdurrahman Bahr al-Din, the Sultan of Dar Masalit, which is in western Darfur in Sudan. I would like to thank the Security Council, the Presidency, and members of the Council. You all represent your countries in this council. And we hope that you will save the Sudan by adopting strong and strict measures, and that you will save the Sudanese people from this tragedy and from this major crisis. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Security Council, I would like to express my gratitude for giving me the opportunity to participate in this important meeting. This is indeed an extremely important meeting. I would also like to thank the member states of the Security Council, which supported my participation in this session. Allow me, Mr. President, at the outset, to mourn the loss of thousands of the people of Dar Masalit, El Geneina, and from Sudan in general. Those who have paid with their life in Al-Fashir, Zamzam, Al-Jazeera, Durman, and all over Sudan. As a result of this devastating war, may their soul rest in peace. I also wish a swift recovery to the wounded and all the injured. We hope that the refugees, the migrants, and the displaced will safely return to their homeland. Mr. President, allow me as well to give you a brief introduction of the Sultanate of Dar Masalit. This Sultanate is in West Darfur in Sudan. Its capital is the city of El Geneina. This Sultanate is a social and cultural melting pot. It is inhabited by diverse tribal and ethnic groups. And the Masalit tribe represents the majority of its population. The Sultan of the Masalit is the highest traditional authority and one of the symbols of the region since tens of years. And he is extremely important for the Masalit of Sudan and the Masalit in neighboring countries. Today, I represent the 7th Sultan in a chain that dates back to more than 150 years of continuous succession. Mr. President, since 2003, the Sultanate of Dar Masalit have been witnessing armed conflicts between various factions, which included foreign militias. These conflicts reached their peak between the 23rd of April 2023 and today. The war erupted in Dar Masalit only 1 week after it erupted in Khartoum. When the war reached Dar Masalit, which is 2,000 kilometers away from the capital, the people among the Masalit tribe and other tribes were systematically targeted at a large scale owing to their ethnic identity and the color of their skin. The most hideous crimes were perpetrated against them. These crimes include genocides that haven't been witnessed in our modern history anywhere else. The city of El Junaina was besieged. It is the headquarters of the Sultanate and the capital of West Darfur. It was under siege for 2 months by the Rapid Support Forces. All the entry points were closed, and the city was totally besieged by the Rapid Support Forces, and they started bombarding the city, to be followed by successive attacks around the clock from all sides against that city. This wanton aggression was waged by foreign mercenaries who were brought during the siege, and they prevented the entry and exit of the population of food and of water. Snipers were stationed around water sources and vital regions. Southern neighborhoods, with a majority of Masalites, were also under a systematic attacks. Properties were looted. Homes were set to fire. Governmental and private institutions were burned. Crimes perpetrated included indiscriminate killing, torture, the rape of women, genocide against the Masalit tribe. I myself was among those on the hit list. This hit list includes a large number of tribal leaderships among the Masalit. It also includes educated people, students, and others. I was compelled to flee my home in El Junaina after staying there under siege for 56 days. I fled my home at night to help the wounded, whose number exceeded 2,000. Their situation was deteriorating, and on one day, 20 to 25 young people died because of their injuries, and we could not provide them with any kind of treatment because of the lack of medicine, drugs, and other medical tools or supplies that could have helped them. So I fled my home at night on foot in very harsh conditions. I walked for 14 hours under the rain. I wanted to cross 28 kilometers only. Those 28 kilometers took me 14 hours to avoid some areas and some passages. So I had to walk all this time, although I am old. These crimes led to the killing of 10,000 people, to the wounding of tens of thousands. These crimes displaced no less than 1 million people who had to flee to neighboring Chad. Western American newspapers and TV channels have documented all these practices, and they expect the numbers to be much greater. I was burying the corpses myself, and I was looking at these bodies on the streets and in the homes. And I tried to be everywhere to help bury these bodies properly. Movement was extremely difficult, extremely dangerous. Mr. President, among these criminal practices targeting my people, the Masalit, by the Rapid Support Forces and their allied militias from the neighboring countries, I mention the burning of people alive, burying people alive, and I think that you have all seen this video which showed that wounded people were being buried alive, and that there were young people, children and students who were being killed. And I am sure of the veracity of these facts. Mr. President, members of the Council, those who have lost their life and those who have fled to neighboring countries, those whose bodies were dragged in public, like the Wali al-Khamis, who was killed by the Rapid Support Forces, and we bear witness to that because the video is clear and it shows what the Rapid Support Forces have done. He was arrested by the RSF in West Darfur, and there is a video available on the net that we can show you as a council or as individuals in order to hold accountable those who have killed him and have killed other innocent people. Mr. President, owing to all this, thousands of people fled to camps in eastern Chad. They live in dire humanitarian conditions. Children are dying there from famine. The elderly have mostly died as a result of hunger, poverty, and the rest are suffering poverty and amnesia. And although some international organizations are present on the ground, the assistance that is being provided is not enough to meet the basic needs. Thousands of refugees, meanwhile, are risking famine. Despite this humanitarian tragedy, Mr. President, the horrors perpetrated in West Darfur have been ignored by the international community, which deepened the suffering of the victims who are still facing worse circumstances. We are human beings, and we were hoping to be treated like other refugees in other countries. Unfortunately, this is the situation, but we ask God that we find justice and that we will enjoy our equal rights on this planet. We hope that international organizations and the international community will give us our rights and will give us enough assistance to meet our daily needs and to face some of the hardships in order to reach, hopefully, a dignified life.